Shalom, Sham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Ha, Rocha, Chodash, Ma'amath. Double honors to the elder apostles of GMS and their elders. Double honors to my elder, Aharawan Banyasharala of the Lions Den Camp here in Jacksonville, Florida. Also, salutations to the Sincere Akim, pushing his truth and sincerity around the four corners of this earth. I'm in the car, Harab Banyasharala, coming out of the Lions Den Camp of Yasharala, located here in Jacksonville, Florida. Now today I'll be coming out a lesson, and of course, it's on this article. And as it says here, it says Russian warships, including nuclear submarines, missile frigate, will arrive in Cuba next week. So obviously, of course, in my personal opinion, I think it's a strategic move. But hey, nonetheless, the Lord has things to happen the way they happen. But nonetheless, let's continue. It says 3 Russian Navy ships and a nuclear-powered submarine will arrive at the port of Havana for an official visit next week. The Cuban Armed Forces said in a statement Thursday, confirming the military exercises first disclosed by U.S. officials on Wednesday. Of course, they did say something about that because I seen an article about it yesterday. But let's continue, because this is really this has spooked America. Even if but a little, it's still spooked. But nonetheless, let's continue. It says the Cuban Revolutionary Armed Forces said the Russian missile frigate, or frigate, however you want to say that, frigate, I think it's frigate, whatever, Admiral Gorshkov, the nuclear sub Kazan, and I looked up that word Kazan, and it pretty much means cauldron or boiler. So that ought to tell you something right there with the names. And the oil tanker Pashin, which means also I looked that up, which means to like love or something. Let me re-look it up. Let me look it up again to make sure. Art and affection. So of course it's an oil tanker. So more than likely, though Russia may be doing drills, military drills, of course, at the doorstep of Babylon, America. Nonetheless, it's a Russian oil tanker, so you can best believe it is carrying some kind of cargo, some gifts to Cuba, because that's where it is going. Because Cuba is an ally of Russia. But let's continue. It says the Revolutionary Army, so like the Revolutionary Armed Forces, said the Russian missile frigate Admiral Gorshkov, the nuclear sub Kazan, the oil tanker Pashin, and the salvage tug Nikolai Chika will arrive on June 12th and stay for a week. The Cuban military said that the visit by the Slovakia. There's gonna be some words that I'm gonna be taking out because to make it make more sense, because their new speak is new stupid. So, but let's continue. It says the Russian military said that the Russian Navy ships is a part of the friendly relations between the two countries, and that it complies with international law and does not pose a security threat to the region because none of the vessels and or ships carry nuclear weapons, but they still have conventional weapons, anti-air, and so forth and so forth. But let's continue. It says a U.S. official told McClatchy, McClatt, whatever that Edomite name, and the Miami Herald on Wednesday that the exercises were expected, or or includes heightened naval and air activity near the United States, involving both Russia and combat naval vessels, Russia aircrafts and combat naval vessels, the first coordinated air and sea exercise by Russia in the Western Hemisphere in 5 years. Yeah, it says. It says while we, meaning America, is disappointed that Cuba has agreed to host the visiting Russian ships. You know what I'm saying? Babylon America is not surprised. Oh, it's very much a surprise because they really wasn't thinking that, that would happen. But let's continue. It says the official said Thursday while one of the ships is a nuclear-powered submarine. The official said that the U.S. intelligence community assesses that it is not carrying nuclear weapons and poses no direct threat to the national security of the United States. Yeah, he ain't talking too tough now. This is the place of unwalled villages, so you really ain't got no defense, honestly. But let's continue. It said administration, it's like it. Officials suspect that Cuba approved the Russian port call over an incident last year, which a U.S. nuclear submarine docked at Guantanamo Bay Naval Base, Slovakia, angering the Cubans. U.S. official says, no, that ain't what it is. It's because they're allies and they're arming themselves. All those that bend the boat. That's really what that is. To train Cuba to fight. To support, well, to supply, I should say, not support, but to supply various artillery. It says America is not surprised by it, given Russia's long history of Cuban port visits and or calls, the official said. These routine naval visits are a part of Russian military exercises, which have ratcheted up because of U.S. support to Ukraine and the exercise activity in support of NATO allies. Of course, that's why it ramped up. So Putin just did a strategic move. You want to come over here and play with me? I'm going to come near where you at. And ain't no way in the world that, of course, to not violate international law, Putin may not have no nukes on any of his vessels. But I'm still pretty sure he got something that'll blow some stuff out of the water or blow it out of the air. He ain't just over here bare. He ain't just over here just over here near Babylon butt naked with no means of defense and protection. That's why Babylon America, trying to play it slow and play it cool. You know what I'm saying? Because Cuba is not that far from Babylon America. It's really not. But let's continue. It says the warships are part of the Russian Navy Northern Fleet and departed on May 17th on a long voyage to demonstrate the Russian flag and ensure naval presence in important areas of the distant oceanic zone. The Russian government news agency TASS reported Thursday. That could be made up, but because they're trying to paint Russia as this dictatorial dictatorship that want to control the whole world, but that's really not true. It's the other party that wants to do that. It says, according to the TASS report, Admiral Gorshkov frigate held an artillery fire exercise at an air target in the Atlantic Ocean. The ship fired AK-192M artillery complex and Palash anti-aircraft missiles at an imitated air target, the report says. So that's how you know they already really ready. So if somebody was to jump slick and try to pull some foolishness, they ready to attack back. That's why it's being played real cool. This is the warship joined the Navy in 2018 and was updated to carry hypersonic cruise missiles, a new complex and expensive missile recently developed by Russia. The Kazan, however you want to say it, submarine also joined the fleet recently in 2021 and carried a long-range precision missile capable of destroying land, sea, and underwater targets, TASS reported in April. So they really ready. They might not have nukes, or they may have nukes. I don't know. But continuing, it says the Cuban government, or the government of Cuba, did not mention military exercises in its statement, but highlighted cultural activities. Of course, why the heck would that be the business of Babylon America? It says during their stay, the Russian sailors will carry out, activities that include a courtesy visit or courtesy visits to the chief of the Revolutionary War and Navy and the governor of Havana. They will also visit places of historical cultural interest. Basically, showing them the infrastructure and what need to be built up. It says, according to the U.S. Navy Institute, Russian submarines have been visiting Cuban ports since 1969, so since the 60s. Russian spy ships have been spotted unannounced at the port of Havana on several occasions. Like, who the flying flip phone that like Esau think you got to announce yourself to him? Like, it don't matter. Cuba is not a territory of Babylon. They are not. They are staunchly against Babylon, America. And they've allied with Russia. That's what protects Cuba. But let's continue. It says, including ahead of Russia's invasion. It wasn't an invasion of Crimea. It said Russia's invasion of Crimea in 2004 wasn't an invasion. But let's continue. It says, days before the U.S.-Cuba talks in Havana in 2015 and on March 2018, the Russian Navy training class ship Perikop sailed into Havana in July last year. Esau was like, well, I just did all this. I just got two scriptures. This is Ezekiel 38:10. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh power, it shall come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. So it's going to come to a point, and it's going to come to pass that the Lord is going to take Russia, which is the guard, the bear for these other nations, such as the BRICS nations, and any other nations that have joined BRICS. And Russia is going to be the shield and the buckler, the protection. And the Lord is going to use Putin and put an evil thought in Putin's mind to have him to come up, verse 11. And it says, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls, having neither bars nor gates. So it's going to come a point in time where the Lord is going to put that wicked evil thought into the mind, the heart of Putin, and he's going to come up to this place, and this is the place. That is the village, the land of the unwalled villages. That's this place. Meaning these cities. These cities ain't got walls built around them. You can go from one end to the other end of Babylon, America. You will not run across one city that is gated off or walled up. That's what it means, unwalled villages. And we'll go up them at rest. A lot of people here are at rest. They think ain't nothing finna happen to this place. They're not seeing the dollar collapse. They're not seeing the new system that's being implemented in their very face. They're not paying attention to the laws that's being passed, these executive orders that are being passed behind closed doors, being signed into law. It's a lot of things that people ain't paying attention to. So that's why they means what it means by they're at rest. And they dwell safely. They think they're safe here. Nothing will happen. All of them dwelling without walls, no protection, having neither bars nor gate, nothing to stop the spoilers and or a robber or a thief or somebody that come to make war. And there's nothing there to stop them. There's nothing there to stop them. So our people here, that's how they live here in Babylon, America. They live here footloose and fancy free. They get to be as wicked as they want. They get to be as hard-headed and disrespectful to Yahweh Shai and the men of the Lord as they want to. But they're just here living comfortably, like we like to say in the camp, living deliciously. They live in footloose and fancy free. They live in good. Where the Lord eventually, he gonna bring destruction to this place. But yeah, it was just a little quick lesson. Well, a lesson. I won't say a quick lesson. It was a lesson, and those are two scriptures that came to my mind when reading this. And with that, shalom.